Yeah. Hari Om. ಸರ್ವರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. Prostrating at the lotus feet of Sadguru, Brahmanishta Shrotriya, Sri Virajeshwara Saraswati, and the entire Guru Parampara, on behalf of all of us, today's discourse on the commentary on Viveka Chudamani by Acharya Shankara Bhagavatpada will commence with the initial Prarthana Shloka or Mangalacharana Shloka. Hari Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Sri Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smruti Purana Namala Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakrutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satgurum Pranadosmyaham. Om Namo Bhagavate Virajeshwaraya. Harihi Om. We are now coming to the real aspects of the Upadesha given by Sadguru to his qualified disciple in the Vivek Chudamani written by Acharya Shankara Bhagavatpada. Last time, Acharya was giving examples in the form of Sadguru telling the Shishya that without actually practicing, taking part in the spiritual sadhana, without any practice, without involving, without personal effort, simply sitting and exclaiming or expecting Brahmajnana, the liberation, salvation should occur to me by simply repeating the name of Brahma. That won't help. By simply saying Aham Brahmasmi 100 times, it won't help. All this he was giving examples. Now, he will continue the same thing with some more examples. ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವು ಬಹಳ ಸುಂದರ ಸರಳ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗಳೊಂದಿಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿಪಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನ ಪಡೆಯೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಭಗವತ್ ಸಾಕ್ಷಾತ್ಕಾರವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದೋದು ಅದು ಆಡು ಮಾತಿನ ಬಾಯಿ ಮಾತಿನ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಶುಭ್ರವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ಪರಿಶುದ್ಧವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಾಧನೆ ಬಲವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ನಿಶ್ಚಯ ದೃಢವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಭಕ್ತಿ, ಶ್ರದ್ಧೆ, ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಗುರುವಿನ ಅಣತಿಯಂತೆ ನಾವು ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅದು ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. The next ಶ್ಲೋಕ, Sadguru tells his Shishya, ಅಕೃತ್ವಾ ದೃಶ್ಯ ವಿಲಯಂ ಅಜ್ಞಾತ್ವಾ ತತ್ವಮಾತ್ಮನಃ ಬಾಹ್ಯ ಶಬ್ದೈ ಕುತೋ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಫಲೈರ್ನೃಣಾಂ. ಅಕೃತ್ವಾ ದೃಶ್ಯ ವಿಲಯಂ ಅಜ್ಞಾತ್ವಾ ತತ್ವಮಾತ್ಮನಃ ಬಾಹ್ಯ ಶಬ್ದೈ ಕುತೋ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಫಲೈರ್ನೃಣಾಂ. ಬಾಹ್ಯ ಶಬ್ದೈ ಕುತೋ ಮುಕ್ತಿ. ಅಗೈನ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕೇವಲ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ಹೇಳುವುದರಿಂದ, ಕೇವಲ ಶಬ್ದ ಉಚ್ಚಾರಣೆ ಮಾಡೋದರಿಂದ, ಯಾಂತ್ರಿಕವಾಗಿ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ಪರಿಶುದ್ಧ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳದೆ, ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡದೆ, ಶ್ರವಣ ಮನನ ಧ್ಯಾನಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡದೆ, ಬರೀ ಶಬ್ದ ಉಚ್ಚಾರಣೆ ಮಾತ್ರದಿಂದ ಕುತೋ ಮುಕ್ತಿ, ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಹೇಗಪ್ಪ ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ, ಮನುಷ್ಯರಿಗೆ? ಉಕ್ತಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಫಲೈಹಿ. ನೀವು ಗಂಟಲು ಶೋಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ ಫಲವೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಚರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು? ಅಕೃತ್ವ ದೃಶ್ಯ ವಿಲಯಂ ಅಜ್ಞಾತ್ವ ತತ್ವಮಾತ್ಮನಃ. ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ, ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಕಾಣತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ದೃಶ್ಯ ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭವಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಈ ಜಗತ್ತನ್ನ ಇದು ಮಿಥ್ಯಾ ಅಂತ ತಿಳಿದು ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಇದನ್ನ ವಿಲಯ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳದೆ ಆತ್ಮತತ್ವವನ್ನ ತಿಳಿಯದೆ ಅಜ್ಞಾತ್ವ ತತ್ವಮಾತ್ಮನಃ, ಅಜ್ಞಾತ್ವ ಆತ್ಮನ ತತ್ವ, ಆತ್ಮತತ್ವವನ್ನು ತಿಳಿದೆ ಬರೀ ಶಬ್ದ ಮಾತ್ರದಿಂದ ಏನು ಉಪಯೋಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಶ್ಲೋಕ Acharya says, how can liberation, look, my dear disciple, how can liberation or salvation from this samsara, from this bondage can occur? How can it occur? By uttering the words, by uttering the words, by uttering the words. It won't occur. Only the fatigue occurs. ಬಾಹ್ಯ ಶಬ್ದೈ ಕುತೋ ಮುಕ್ತಿ, ಉಕ್ತಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಫಲೈರ್ ನೃಣ. Only you get exhausted by repeating the same thing mechanically without akritva drushya vilayam ajñatva tattvamatmanah. See, without knowing the Atma Tattva, without understanding the reality, the real nature of your own self, Atma Tattva, and without negating the visible prapancha, the world in front of you, you are a part of the world in the waking state. Without negating the world means what? Akrutva drushya vilayam. Without dissolution in your mind about what is seen. That means without developing any dispassion, without being attached to the worldly pleasures, worldly life. That is the meaning here. Akrutva drushyam vilayam. Without that detachment, without the dispassion towards worldly objects, without the dispassion towards your worldly sensory pleasures. That is the meaning. Without that, without vairagya, ultimately it means. Without you being detached, it means. Without any temptation, it means. Without being tempted to continue your life as usual, so that you always yield to the temptation of the life, pleasures of the life. So, without giving up all these things, without knowing the Atma Tattva, where there can be liberation, where there can be liberation or salvation? How do you know Atma Tattva? How do you understand your own self? How do you stay in the total awareness? It is not possible. That is what Sadguru is telling Shishya here. Only by mechanically repeating the words that I am Brahma won't help at all. Won't help at all. So Acharya is hinting you have to strive, you have to do a lot of personal efforts. For that you must develop dispassion as much as possible. Every time this is being told, hence in the whole of the Viveka Chudamani, Acharya Bhagavad-pada is very consistent in explaining or giving significance to the word vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion, detachment. The me and mine concept, as much as possible, it should be detached. Last time it was told, for a householder, as things proceed, now the shlokas after shlokas, things become more and more confusing for some of us, householders, samsaras, because we are in the samsara. You are bound by so many things. The family is there, members of the family are there, you have a job, you have to earn, you have to strive hard in life, all the responsibilities, elders are there in the family, you have to look after them. See, all such problems are there for a householder. So you get more confused and more confused, but Acharya gives one hint here. All Mahatmas say, repeatedly, please remember this point in your mind. Don't get disheartened by all such higher level adhyatmic words, the points actually used in the Shastras, actually being said by Acharya Bhagavad-pada for our own benefit. At least we have to sincerely open up our mind and listen and try to practice as much as possible. Let us be more positive rather than negative in the approach in the spiritual field. That is the main point. Because, see, there is a famous statement. I remember here, prostrating at the feet of Sri Chandrasekhar Bharati Mahaswamigal, whose commentary is being followed here. See, once in Sringeri, as a Jagadguru, when he was there, Chandrasekhar Bharati Mahaswamigal mentioned beautiful sentence. Beautiful, very beautiful sentence, with profound, pregnant meaning in that. He said, Vidyarthino kutah sukham, sukharthino kutam vidya. That's all he said. Vidyarthino kutam sukham, sukharthino kutam vidya. Literal meaning of the phrase used by Mahaswami is, see, for a person who is completely immersed in worldly life, worldly enjoyment, completely caught by the samsara itself, he wants to have all the enjoyment, wealth, money, name, fame, everything. That is the only goal in life. He is searching the eternal happiness. He wants always to be happy, avoid all unhappy incidents. Correct? So he is searching always sukha. He is searching, he is waiting, he is always his mind towards the goal of obtaining sukha, happiness. He is always in pursuit of towards happiness. So most of us, without exception, we are all like that. So Mahaswami calls such people like us as sukharthi. You are running behind in the pursuit of happiness, but you don't know the happiness is inside only. That is the inner point. Our own real nature is happiness itself. Happiness is not a character or attribute. It is our own real nature, nature of the self that we don't know. So a person who is always running behind happiness, sukha, sukhartino kutah vidya, he said. How can he be a spiritual person? How can he reach real vidya? How can he get atmajnana? It means, kutah vidya means, how can he get atmajnana? No. Similarly, vidyarthino kutah sukham, he said. For a person, spiritual person who has understood the real purpose of life, why I am born ultimately as a human being, if that point, that question has arisen in the mind, hammering all the time, 24 hours a day in the mind, so then he is not bothered about sukha, not bothered about the pleasures at all. He is not attached to that. He becomes more and more and more detached. He will not yield to any temptation. And he is least bothered about acquiring sukha, happiness. because he is a Vidyarthi. He is after real Vidya. What is a real Vidya? Atma Vidya. What is it Atma Vidya? Brahmajnana. What is it Brahmajnana? Realizing our own true nature. Who am I ultimately? So, a person in the highest spiritual sadhana mode is not at all tempted by the pleasures of the world. That is exact. So that's what in the shloka Acharya meant. Akrutva drusha vilayam ajñatva tattvamatmana. So without bothering about these things, without being totally detached as much as possible, without knowing the purpose of the life, bahya shabdai kuto mukti. By uttering the word, you don't get mukti, you don't get liberation. That is the point. Another example he gives, ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ಅಕೃತ್ವಾ ಶತ್ರು ಸಂಹಾರಂ ಅಗತ್ವಾ ಅಖಿಲ ಭೂಶ್ರಿಯಂ ರಾಜಾಹಮಿತಿ ಶಬ್ದಾನ್ನೋ ರಾಜಾ ಭವಿತುಮರ್ಹತಿ. ಅಕೃತ್ವಾ ಶತ್ರು ಸಂಹಾರಂ ಅಗತ್ವಾ ಅಖಿಲ ಭೂಶ್ರಿಯಂ ರಾಜಾಹಂ ಇತಿ ಶಬ್ದಾನ್ನೋ ರಾಜಾ ಭವಿತುಮರ್ಹತಿ. ಅನದರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಶತ್ರುಗಳ ಸಂಹಾರವನ್ನ ಮಾಡದೆ, ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳನ್ನ ಗೆದ್ದುಕೊಳ್ಳದೆ, ಭೂಮಿಯನ್ನ ವಶಪಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳದೆ, ನಾನು ಮಹಾರಾಜ, ನಾನು ಚಕ್ರವರ್ತಿ ಅಂತ ಬಾಯಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ನಿಜವಾದ ರಾಜ ಆಗ್ತಾನೇನಪ್ಪ? ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕದ ಅರ್ಥ. ಸೊ ದಿ ಶ್ಲೋಕ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್. ಅನದರ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಸೇಸ್, ವಿಥೌಟ್ ಡಿಫೀಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಎನಿಮೀಸ್, without conquering our enemies in the battle, taking part in the war, without expanding the territory, without establishing his rule, sovereign rule in a particular area, a man cannot be called as a king or an emperor. So, without that, if you simply call yourself, gloat about yourself that you are a king or an emperor, is it not a joke? That is the example. Now, another third example Acharya gives, which is very profound. ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬಹಳ ಅರ್ಥಗರ್ಭಿತವಾದ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕ, ಆಪ್ತೋಕ್ತಿಂ ಖನನಂ ತಥೋಪರಿ ಶಿಲಾದ್ಯುತ್ಕರ್ಷಣಂ ಸ್ವೀಕೃತಿಂ ನಿಕ್ಷೇಪಃ ಸಮಪೇಕ್ಷತೆ ನಹಿ ಬಹಿ ಶಬ್ದೈಸ್ತು ನಿರ್ಗಚ್ಛತಿ. ಆಪ್ತೋಕ್ತಿಂ ಖನನಂ ತಥೋಪರಿ ಶಿಲಾದ್ಯುತ್ಕರ್ಷಣಂ ಸ್ವೀಕೃತಿಂ ನಿಕ್ಷೇಪಃ ಸಮಪೇಕ್ಷತೆ ನಹಿ ಬಹಿ ಶಬ್ದೈಸ್ತು ನಿರ್ಗಚ್ಛತಿ. ಈ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಭೂಮಿಯ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಗುಪ್ತ ನಿಧಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ತಿಳಿದವರು ಆ ಜಾಗವನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸಿ, ಇಂತಹ ಕಡೆ ನೀವು ಭೂಮಿಯನ್ನು ಅಗಿಬೇಕು, ಇಷ್ಟು ಆಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಗಿಬೇಕು, ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋದ್ರ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು, ಮೇಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಲ್ಲನ್ನು ತೆಗಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದಾಗ ಆ ಗುಪ್ತ ನಿಧಿ ನೆಲದ ಒಳಗೆ ಅಡಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಗಬಹುದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮಗೆ ನಿಧಿ ಬೇಕು, ನಿಧಿ ಬೇಕು, ಗುಪ್ತವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ವಜ್ರ ವೈಢೂರ್ಯ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜಪ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಧಿ ಕೈಗೆ ಬಂದು ಸಿಗುತ್ತಾ? ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. So in this, another beautiful example, remember 1200 years ago, such examples were very important because those are the days of kings ruling over the earth, different parts, different areas, provincial areas. Always they used to fight among themselves. Battles used to take place. So they used to usually bury their treasures in the deep soil. There were no banks and lockers at that time, please remember. So even a householder used to bury his wealth in the form of gold, silver, whatever it is, or in the form of diamonds or precious stones, deep in the pits. So that example now Acharya is taking. Without a proper guide who knows where a treasure deeply buried in a particular soil, in a particular area, without that guide, without his direction, And without digging deeper and deeper and deeper, that buried treasure cannot be obtained by a person. By sitting at home, simply uttering the name of the treasure will not come up and then enter his house, fall in his hand. So, somebody should be there to guide you to the proper place. Then you have to dig and dig and dig deeper and deeper and deeper. That is your effort. Only with your effort and a proper guidance, then it is possible you may receive the buried treasure deep in the soil. You become the owner of the treasure. In the same way, the next shloka, same shloka, Acharya continues. Tadvat Brahma Vidopadesha Manana Dhyanadhibirlabhyate Maya Karyatirohitam Swamamalam Tatvam Naduryuktabihi. Tadvat Brahma Vidopadesha Manana Dhyanadhibirlabhyate Maya Karyatirohitam Swam Amalam Tatvam Naduryuktabihi. Tadvat, in the same way, therefore, Tadvat means only by Brahma Vidopadesha Manana Dhyanadibhi Labhyate. Ade Riti Brahma Vidaradantaha, Brahmajnanigadantaha, Tatvanishtradantaha, Sadguruvina Krupeinda, Atana Upadeshadinda, Mattu Manana Dhyana andre Nididhyasana. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶ್ರವಣ ಮನನ ನಿಧಿಧ್ಯಾಸನ, ಗುರುವಿನ ಆದೇಶವನ್ನ ಆಲೈಸೋದು, ಆತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಲುಕು ಹಾಕೋದು ಮತ್ತು ಧ್ಯಾನ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವುದು. ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮನನ ಧ್ಯಾನಾದಿಭಿ ಲಭ್ಯತೆ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಏನು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ? ಆತ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನ. ಮಾಯಾ ಕಾರ್ಯ ತಿರೋಹಿತಂ ಸ್ವಂ ಅಮಲಂ ತತ್ವಂ ನ ದುರ್ಯುಕ್ತಭಿಹಿ. ಅದು ಮಾಡದೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾಯಾ ಕಾರ್ಯ ತಿರೋಹಿತಂ ಸ್ವಂ ಅಮಲತತ್ವಂ, ಮಾಯೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವದಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ತಾನಾಗಿಯೇ ಮುಚ್ಚಿ ಹೋಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಆ ಆತ್ಮತತ್ವ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಯಾರೋ ಎನ್ನತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಆತ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನ ದುರ್ಯುಕ್ತಿಭಿಹಿ, ಕೇವಲ ವಿತಂಡವಾದ, ಕೇವಲ ತರ್ಕದಿಂದ, ಕೇವಲ ಬುದ್ಧಿಯಿಂದ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನ ದೊರಕೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕದ ಅರ್ಥ. So with the buried treasure example, Acharya is now taking the same point very clearly. So the truth, the jnana, the reality of the self, Atmajnana or Brahmajnana, all these words. So the absolute truth, which is hidden by the Maya due to Ajnana, this hidden Atmajnana can be obtained only by the Upadesha of a Sadguru, only by proper teachings of the Sadguru. Aptokti means the specific teaching, Upadesha, Adesha, by the Sadguru, who is a Brahmajnani himself, followed by your serious listening, Shravana, Manana, contemplation, inquiry, Vichara, and Dhyana, meditation, etc. So that is a point Acharya is making it very clear. So this Brahmajnana can be obtained by the Upadesha of the Guru, following the Guru's advice, doing exactly what Guru says, with all Shraddha, Bhakti, conviction, and devotion. Not by Duryuktibihi, not by improper reasoning, not by your intellectual understanding, not by reading books and thinking that I know everything. It is not like that. Not by illogical conclusions, not by improper perverted arguments. Duryuktibihi. So your perverted arguments, illogical reasoning, all these things, thinking that you are very intelligent, you can understand everything, by such methods, Brahmajnana will not be obtained at all. It is only by the grace of the Guru, Sadguru. It is possible, provided you follow all the instructions correctly. You follow all the instructions correctly. See, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a famous mantra, Mahamantra is there. See, normally all the mantras of Upanishads are called Mahavakyas, normally. So there is one Mahamantra in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It says, Atma va are društavyo, shrotravyo, mantavyo, nididhyasitavyo. It ends like that. Atma va are društavyo, shrotavyo, mantavyo, nididhyasitatva. That means it says Atma are Atma va društavyaha, Atma shrotavyaha, Atma mantavyaha, Atma nididhyasitavyaha. Then only it is possible. You have to see the Atma. Društavya means you have to see the Atma. See means you cannot see actually. Društavyaha Atma means, Upanishad Brihadaranyaka says, Atmananna ನೋಡಬೇಕು, ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು, ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನ ಧ್ಯಾನಿಸಬೇಕು, ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನ ಮನನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಬೃಹದಾರಣ್ಯಕ ಉಪನಿಷತ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನೋಡೋದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸದ್ಗುರು ತಿಳಿಸಿದ ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲೈಸೋದು, ಶ್ರವಣ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಆತ್ಮ ವಿಚಾರದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ ನೋಡೋದು ಅಂತ. ಅರೆ ಆತ್ಮವ ದೃಷ್ಟವ್ಯೋ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ by proper, accurate understanding, you have to listen, shravana, of what Guru says. That is društavya. Because you yourself ultimately is the Atma Swarupa only. Then you have to, mantavya means you have to reflect upon, manana, what Guru said, what Sadguru says about the Atma Swarupa. What is Atma, what is Anatma? The differentiation between the two, we have to understand correctly. Constant reflection means constant inquiry, vichara marga, vichara marga, vichara marga. Manana means the same thing. Constant inquiry, self-inquiry. By that, then meditation. Constant meditation. Nididhyasana. This is what Brihadaranyaka says. Then only Brahmajnana can be attained by, again, grace of the Lord or Guru. So, next shloka Acharya says, Tasmat sarva prayatnena bhava bandha vimuktaye swaire vayatna kartavyo rogadaviva panditaihi. Tasmat sarva prayatnena bhava bandha vimuktaye ಸ್ವೈರೇವ ಯತ್ನ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯೋ ರೋಗಾದಾವಿವ ಪಂಡಿತೈಃ. Now the Sadguru says, Acharya writes, ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ತಿಳಿದವರು, ಬಲ್ಲವರು, ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರವಿದರು, ಉತ್ತಮ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಶಿಷ್ಯ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ದೇಹಕ್ಕೆ ರೋಗ ಬಂದಾಗ ರೋಗವನ್ನ ಹೋಗಲಾಡಿಸೋಕೆ ಸರ್ವ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೋ, ಕಾಲ ಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಔಷಧವನ್ನ, ವೈದ್ಯರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಔಷಧವನ್ನು ಸೇವಿಸ್ತಾರೋ ರೋಗ ಪರಿಹಾರಕ್ಕೆ, ಅದೇ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಸರ್ವ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಿಂದ, ಸ್ವಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಿಂದ, ಸ್ವೈರೇವ ಸ್ವಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಿಂದ, ತಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಿಂದ, ಸರ್ವ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನೇನ ಭವಬಂಧ ವಿಮುಕ್ತಯೇ, ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಹೊರಬರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಅಪ್ಪಣೆ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಸೇಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಶ್ಲೋಕ, ದಿ ವೈಸ್ seeker, the sadhakas, spiritual sadhakas. So they must strive very hard, sincerely, devotedly, with conviction, with determination, by every means to release themselves from this bondage of samsara. In order to come out of the bandhana of the samsara, they have to strive themselves from all possible ways, by every method. Every method. There is no other way. Guru, preceptor, is the guide. He will show the way. He will not walk your way. He has already crossed over. But you have to walk the talk. Whatever you heard from the Guru, you have to put it in the practice. Without you putting it in the practice, that is what every Mahatman says. Initial efforts. Initial efforts. Shavana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Listening attentively what the Guru says. Reflecting, thinking and rethinking, reflecting on what the Guru said. Manana. Then doing constant meditation. Undergoing that phase of meditation. Sitting and doing meditation. Dhyana. All these things, these efforts have to be there. Without that, nothing happens. Then the next shloka. To encourage such spiritual devotees or spiritual sadhakas or shishyas, Acharya was so considerate. Now he uses next shlokas. Yastvayadya kruta prashno variyan shastra vinmataha sutra prayo nigodartho jnatavyascha mumukshuvihi. Yastvayadya kruta prashno variyan shastra vinmataha sutra prayo nigodartho jnatavyascha mumukshuvihi. Now the Sadguru tells the Shishya, look, my dear disciple, Vatsa, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ, ಇವತ್ತು ನೀನು ಏನು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀಯಲ್ಲ ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ, ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ವೇದಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಗಹನವಾದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು, ಸೂತ್ರಪ್ರಾಯವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಾಗಿವೆ, ನಿಗೂಢ ಅರ್ಥವನ್ನ ಒಳಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಅತಿ ಉತ್ತಮ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀಯಪ್ಪ. ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಮುಕ್ಷಗಳು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಿಜ್ಞಾಸುಗಳಿಗೂ ಇದು ಅನ್ವಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಿನ್ನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಇದನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕದ ಅರ್ಥ, ನೀನ್ ಕೇಳಿರೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಸುಂದರವಾಗಿದೆ, ನಿಗೂಢವಾಗಿದೆ, ಸೂತ್ರಪ್ರಾಯವಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರವಿದರಿಗೂ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಸಮ್ಮತವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು, ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸರಿಗೂ ಸಮ್ಮತವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು. ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ನೀನು, ಬಹಳ ಸಂತೋಷ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಶ್ಲೋಕ, ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೈಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ಶಿಷ್ಯ, ದಿ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿ, the aspirant, spiritual aspirant. Look, my dear child, the questions you have asked, the 7 questions earlier, please remember the 7 questions. The 7 questions. Now the Sadguru is talking on that. The questions you asked earlier, they are so important, so beautiful, they are aphoretic, really. And they are pregnant with deeper and deeper meanings. And they are so short but very important. And such questions have to be understood by all mumukshus. Even all mumukshus should know the answer for these questions. You remember the earlier Shishya put the question to the Sadguru. What is the bondage? From where it has come? How it is continuing? How one can be liberated from the bondage? What is Atma? What is Anatma? What is the difference? What is the association between Atma and Paramatma? All these questions. Now Sadguru is referring those questions. So next, the Sadguru says, Shrunushvabahito vidvan yanmaya samudiryate tadet Shravanat sadyo bhavabandhad vimokshase. an important announcement Sadguru is making in this shloka to all jijnasus, to all aspirants, to the disciple. He says, Shunashva avahito vidvan yanmaya samudiryate tadetat shravanat sadyo bhavabandhat vimokshase. Sadguru says here, look, my dear learned one, Vidwan, learned one, my dear wise man, you are already a qualified Shishya, disciple, so you are a wise man. You are a learned person. You are interested in not only Shastra, scriptures, you are interested in Atmajnana itself. So now you listen attentively about what I am going to say, what I am going to tell you. Shunashva avahito vidvan. Listen to me carefully. Nodappa Shishya, ಈಗ ನಾನು ನಿನಗೇನು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನೀನು ಕೇಳುವಂಥವನಾಗು. ನಿನ್ನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಸಾವಧಾನವಾಗಿ ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಚಿತ್ತದಿಂದ ಏಕಾಗ್ರತೆಯಿಂದ ಕೇಳುವಂಥವನಾಗು ಶಿಷ್ಯ ವತ್ಸ ಅಂತ ಸದ್ಗುರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ತದೇ ಶ್ರವಣ ಸದ್ಯೋ ಭವಬಂಧಾತ್ ವಿಮೋಕ್ಷ. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ಆಲೈಸೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ ಉಪದೇಶವನ್ನ ಪರಿಪಾಲನೆ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿಯೇ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಜನ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿಯೇ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮರಣ ಬರೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿಯೇ, ನಿನ್ನ ದೇಹ ಹೋಗೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿಯೇ, ಶರೀರಪಾತ ಆಗೋದ್ರ ಮೊದಲೇ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಸದ್ಯ ಭವಬಂಧಾದ್ ವಿಮೋಕ್ಷಸೆ. ನೀನು ಈ ಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಪಾರಾಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀಯಪ್ಪ, ನಿನಗೆ ಆತ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೀನು ಜೀವನ್ಮುಕ್ತ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀಯ ಅಂತ ಭರವಸೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. So Acharya is telling the Shishya, he is promising the disciple here that listen to me carefully. After listening my Upadesha, if you follow the Upadesha with all conviction and total surrender, please remember, Sadguru always intends, he expects that you should listen with earnestness, seriousness, attentively, with concentration, with Shraddha, and with total surrender. He expects that. It is understood. All Mahatmans say the same thing. So with all such qualification, the Guru says here, if you listen to me carefully, what I am going to say, I am sure you will be released from the bondage of the samsara, birth and death cycle in this birth itself. I am 100% sure that you will be released immediately. Immediately means in this birth itself. That means Acharya is promising the aspirant. Acharya is promising the Shishya here. You will not end up in the birth and death cycle anymore. ನೀನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೀಳೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪುನರ್ಜನ್ಮ ಆಗೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಆಚರಣೆಗೆ ತಂದರೆ ಈ ಜನ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿಯೇ ನೀನು ಮುಕ್ತನಾಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ now starts his ಉಪದೇಶ. ಮೋಕ್ಷ್ಯಸ್ಯ ಹೇತು ಪ್ರಥಮೋ ನಿಗದ್ಯತೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯಮತ್ಯಂತಮನಿತ್ಯ ವಸ್ತುಷು ತತಃ ಶಮಶ್ಚಾಪಿ ದಮಸ್ಥಿತಿಕ್ಷ ನ್ಯಾಸ ಪ್ರಸಕ್ವಾಖಿಲ ಕರ್ಮಣಾಂ ಭೃಶಂ. ಮೋಕ್ಷಸ್ಯ ಹೇತು ಪ್ರಥಮೋ ನಿಗದ್ಯತೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯಮತ್ಯಂತಮನಿತ್ಯ ವಸ್ತುಷು ತತಃ ಶಮಶ್ಚಾಪಿ ದಮಸ್ಥಿತಿಕ್ಷ ನ್ಯಾಸ ಪ್ರಸಕ್ತಾಖಿಲ ಕರ್ಮಣಾಂ ಭೃಶಂ. ಇನ್ನು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಶ್ಲೋಕ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಹೊಂದಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಶಾಶ್ವತವಾಗಿ ಬಂಧ ಮುಕ್ತ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಪ್ಪ, ಮೊದಲು ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ. ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ಅಶಾಶ್ವತ ವಸ್ತುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸೆಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಡೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ. ಇದು ಮೋಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಹೇತು ಅಥವಾ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ. ಮೋಕ್ಷಸ್ಯ ಹೇತು ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್. ಹೇತು means these are the means. ವೈರಾಗ್ಯದ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಶಮ ದಮ ತಿತಿಕ್ಷೆ ಇತ್ಯಾದಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಕರ್ಮಗಳ ತ್ಯಾಗ ಇವು ನಂತರದ ಸಾಧನೆಗಳಾಗ್ತವೆ. ಮೊದಲು ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಬರಬೇಕು, ನಂತರ ಶಮ ದಮ ತಿತಿಕ್ಷ ಶ್ರದ್ಧಾ ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಷಟ್ಸಂಪತ್ತಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಕರ್ಮಗಳ ತ್ಯಾಗ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಉಂಟಾಗಬೇಕು. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಾಧನಾ ಮಾರ್ಗಗಳು ಅಂತ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಿ ಗುರು ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ in a very brief way the fourth question which was asked by the Shishya. How we can be liberated from the bondage? That was the fourth question. How liberation can be achieved, in other words. How salvation occurs. How I can escape birth and death cycle. That is the point. So the Guru answers here. Mokshasya hetu pratamo nigadyate vairagyam atyantam anitya vastushu. Hetu, mokshasya hetu means the very first requirement, the very first requisite. Hetu means requisite, qualification. The very first means to moksha, salvation, mukti is Prathamo nigadyate vairagyam atyantam anitya vastushu. Anitya vastushu atyanta vairagyam. So you must develop that total dispassion, absence of desires to worldly pleasures, not yielding to temptation of worldly pleasures, not being tempted at all. Vairagya here means iha mutra phala bhoga viraga, as earlier said by Acharya. You must not bother much about getting more and more money, wealth, name, fame, pelf, everything in this life, and also entering into heaven after the death. Even that also. Amutra phala. Iha and amutra. So you must develop such a deep dispassion, detachment towards the pleasures of life as much as possible. Please remember, these words are highly confusing for some. What is this? Sir, you are talking like this. I am not talking. Please remember, Acharya is talking. Chandrasekhar Bharati Mahaswamigal has given bhashya on this. He has explained in his own commentary on these things very lucidly. How is it, sir, possible to be totally developing vairagya? We are family people. I am a mother. I have got so many kids. I have to look after the kids. I have to do my duty as a mother, as a wife. I have to look after husband. I have to look after in-laws. How can I be dispassionate? How can I become detached in life? All these things are there in life. Say, I am a son. I got my own children. I got my parents. I got my brothers, my sisters. If I don't work, if I don't go for the work, I don't get salary. If I sit at home, who will feed me? That is the question. Such questions will come. So please don't get confused. Vairagya means, at the highest level, it is a real dispassion. Uttama Adhikari, who becomes totally dejected from the worldly life, he runs means he comes towards the shelter of the Guru, not bothered about anything in life. That is highest, highly qualified Uttama Adhikari. Then what about us, common people, samsaris, householders? What to do then? That vairagya, is it possible for me to develop now? As per the Adesha of Acharya and Vivek Chudamani, it is not possible. I cannot. So, Namo Namaha, let me say goodbye to Vivek Chudamani discourse. Let me switch off my laptop. Let me not listen anymore, because it is more not only mind-boggling, it is mind-confusing. How can I develop vairagya, sir? Is it possible practically? If I sit at home, will you feed me? Will you feed my family? Will you give me 10 rupees whenever I want? Somehow such questions In one way or the other, they may rise in the minds. So these are called, distractions, how the Maya works. Remember, mind itself is the friend, mind itself is the enemy. That is how the Maya works. Acharya later explains about the role of Maya. We will take up in detail there. You remember, your mind itself is your enemy at times. Your mind itself is your friend at times. Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. That is what Lord said in Bhagavad Gita. So don't get disheartened. Vairagya. Let us start with the first step today. Let us earnestly start with the first step today. That should be our motto in life. Let me gradually cut down, control the mind, which is running behind all sensuous pleasures and fun, adventure, everything in life. Let us control the mind. Let us control our sense organs. The more I see, the more I get deluded. So let me not see anything much. Let me not spend 3, 4, 5, 6 hours per day on the internet nowadays. Example. Let me not spend 3, 4, 5 hours per day on internet, Google search or whatever it is, website searching. Stop. Can we not do that? Can we not do that? You ask yourself. This is how beginning steps towards Vairagya. Controlling sense organs. I'm interested in a lot of music all the time. Every day I have to listen to beautiful music. Can I not control it for some time? Instead of listening 1 hour per day, can I not listen only half an hour per day? That is what controlling the senses. Controlling the mind, controlling senses. That is how it builds up. For a householder, Vairagya cannot be achieved in one day, even sometimes in one lifetime. Please remember, Mahatmans have said this. Even in one lifetime, Vairagya may not be achieved. When that is the case, let us positively start. That is what here Acharya is. Mokshasya hetu pratamo nigadyate vairagyam atyantam anityavastu. Then he comes, same point. Tata shamaschapi damastitiksha nyasaha prasakta akhila karmanam brusham. So with Vairagya, detachment, not yielding to your temptation very easily, ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾದಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ಬಿಗಿ ಹಿಡಿಯೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾದಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಿಂದ, ಛಲದಿಂದ ಅದು ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಹಾಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ಬಿಗಿ ಹಿಡಿಯೋದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಶಮ, ದಮ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಗಳನ್ನ ಬಿಗಿ ಹಿಡಿಯೋದು, ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ ಓಡದೆ ಇರೋದು, ಅದು ದಮ. ತಿತಿಕ್ಷ, ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಸಹಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಬಂದ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳನ್ನ, ಯಾತನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸಹಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಸತ್ವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನನಗೆ ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ ಈ ತೊಂದರೆ ಬಂತು, ನನಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ರೋಗ ಬಂತು ಅಂತ ಹೆದರೋದಲ್ಲ, ಸಮಾಧಾನವಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ತಿತಿಕ್ಷ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ವೈರಾಗ್ಯದ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಶಮ, ದಮ, ತಿತಿಕ್ಷ ಮತ್ತು ಕರ್ಮತ್ಯಾಗ. ಅಖಿಲ ಕರ್ಮಣಾಂ ವೃಷಂನ್ಯಾಸ. ಅಖಿಲ ಕರ್ಮಣಾಂ ವೃಷಂನ್ಯಾಸ, ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಬಿಡೋದು. ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಬಿಡೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. ನಾವು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ? ಅದ ಅರ್ಥ ಹಾಗೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೇಬೇಡಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಬಿಡೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 2 ಅರ್ಥ ಇದೆ. ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬರೋಣ ಮುಂದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಅರ್ಥ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ನಿತ್ಯ ಶುಭ ಅಶುಭ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಡೋದು ಅಂತ. ಆಸೆಗಳಿಂದ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಆಸೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ. Do all the karmas without any desire. Give up kamya karmas, it means. So Acharya is very clear here. First, develop vairagya, dispassion, followed by shama, controlling the mind, dama, controlling your sense organs, titiksha, enduring all your troubles, tribulations, problems, crisis, mental, physical, worries, your diseases, afflictions, whatever it may be, enduring it with a smiling heart, titiksha. Then giving up all karmas. Akhila karmanam brashamnyasaha. Giving up. Giving up means what? All your kamya karmas, whatever actions you perform with some desire, give up the desire. Phalatyaga. Karma phalatyaga. This is what exactly Lord says in Bhagavad Gita. Karma phalatyaga is superior, Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, superior than your dhyana, superior than tapas, superior than japa, he says. Sarva karma phalatyaga. So here it means almost same thing here. So, with the absence of desire, not yielding to your temptations in life, not yielding to, seeking pleasures in life, with shama and dama, control of the mind and control of your own sense organs, titiksha, enduring your problems and your tribulations, your physical afflictions, then giving up the desire behind your actions. Do your actions or karma without any desire. Offer, in other words, offer your karmas to Lord Himself. You do all the actions, activities and karmas offering yourself to the Lord. ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಭಗವಂತನಿಗೆ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ನಿಷ್ಕಾಮ ಕರ್ಮ. ಆಗ ಕರ್ಮ ಬಂಧನ ಉಂಟಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಂತರ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕ ಬಹಳ, ಇದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಶ್ಲೋಕ. ತತಃ ಶ್ರುತಿಸ್ತನ್ ಮನನಂ ಸತತ್ವ ಧ್ಯಾನಂ ಚಿರಂ ನಿತ್ಯ ನಿರಂತರಂ ಮುನೇಃ ತತೋ ವಿಕಲ್ಪಂ ಪರಮೇತ್ಯ ವಿದ್ವಾನ್ ಇಹೈವ ನಿರ್ವಾಣ ಸುಖಂ ಸಂವೃಚ್ಛತಿ. ತತಃ ಶ್ರುತಿಸ್ತತ್ ಮನನಂ ಸತತ್ವ ಧ್ಯಾನಂ ಚಿರಂ ನಿತ್ಯ ನಿರಂತರಂ ಮುನೇಃ ತತೋ ವಿಕಲ್ಪಂ ಪರಮೇತ್ಯ ವಿದ್ವಾನ್ ಇಹೈವ ನಿರ್ವಾಣ ಸುಖಂ ಸಂವೃಚ್ಛತಿ. This previous and this, both the shlokas are landmark shlokas in Viveka Chudamani. The entire summary of Viveka Chudamani is here in these two shlokas. The previous one, which was narrated now, and this one. ಹಿಂದಿನ ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಿವೇಕ ಚೂಡಾಮಣಿ ಗ್ರಂಥದ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಆ ತಿರುಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಹೊರಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? ತತಶ್ರುತಿ ಮನನಂ ಸತತ್ವ ಧ್ಯಾನಂ ಚಿರಂ ನಿತ್ಯ ನಿರಂತರಂ ಮುನೇ ತಥೋ ಅವಿಕಲ್ಪಂ ಪರಮೇತ್ಯ ವಿದ್ವಾನ್ ಯೈವ ನಿರ್ವಾಣ ಸುಖಂ ಸಮೃಚ್ಛತಿ. ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ವತ್ಸ, ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ತಿಳಿದಂಥವು ನೀನು. See, now then comes the Shravana, Manana, continuous meditation. Chiram dhyanam nitya nirantaram munehe. Then continuous meditation, constant meditation, without interruption. Not that you do meditation today for 10 minutes, give 1 week gap, after 8th day again you do 10 minutes, give 1 month gap, and then again you do 10 minutes. It is not like that. Meditation to be continuous andre every day, every time. Not giving up nowadays, here and there. It should not be interrupted meditation. Illi ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? ತತಃ ಶ್ರುತಿಸ್ತತ್ ಮನನಂ ಸತತ್ವ ಧ್ಯಾನಂ ಚಿರಂ ನಿತ್ಯ ನಿರಂತರಂ ಮುನೆ. ಗುರುವಾಕ್ಯವನ್ನ ಸದಾ ಮನನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ನಿತ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಧ್ಯಾನವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕಪ್ಪ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಶ್ರವಣ ಮನನ ನಿರಂತರ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ತಥೋ ವಿಕಲ್ಪಂ ಪರಮೇತ್ಯ ವಿದ್ವಾನ್, Look, learned one, by the constant meditation, after following Shravana and Manana, what happens? Liberation here itself, ihaiva nirvana sukam samruchati, tato avikalpam parametya vidwan. Parama avikalpam etya. That is the key word here, Acharya used. After Shravana, Manana, and Dhyana, continuous Dhyana, a stage will come, you will attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Param avikalpam means you will attain, you will enter into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the total one-pointed, concentrated, trance-like condition. There is no correct English word for Samadhi. Some nearest word, some books use the word trance. Even that is not correct. Samadhi is Samadhi only. How it can be explained? Samadhi cannot be explained. Acharya says here, after constant Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana means constant meditation with Shraddha and Bhakti and devotion and belief. Belief in Sadguru, belief in his Aptavakya, trust in his Aptavakyas. A day will come, by the grace of the Guru, you will enter into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Automatically during meditation, in the highest point of the meditation will lead you to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And only in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you will experience the reality of your own nature, your own self. So, tato vikalpam param itya vidwan ihaiva nirvana sukam samruchati. Ihaiva. Now, only in that type of nirvikalpa samadhi, you attain nirvana sukha, means liberation. Nirvana means liberation. You realize your own self. You become Brahmavit. You become the knower of Brahma, the knower of truth. By constant meditation, a stage will come, you enter into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. There, the hidden secrets automatically open up. The reality dawns, means you will open up to your own real nature. Then you will experience directly, first-hand experience. That is Aparoksha Anubhava. In that Samadhi state, you will experience who really you are. And what is that Samadhi state? Nobody can explain. No Jnani will explain to you. Nobody can explain, because you have to experience yourself. There are pointers in Vedanta. There are some guides, some sort of indirect method of explaining Samadhi, but nothing can be really explained. See, these words will come later. I am using just one or two words here. In Vedanta, when Samadhi word is used, there are two important differences. One is called Savikalpa Samadhi. This other one is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Savikalpa Samadhi is also the word in Vedanta. Again, there are other parallel words used in different books of Vedanta, scriptures. Savikalpa Samadhi is also called Sabija Samadhi in some cases. Savikalpa, also called Sabija Samadhi. It is also called Samprajnata Samadhi. Savikalpa is also called Samprajnata Samadhi. Similarly, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is also called Nirbija Samadhi. Nirbija Samadhi or Asamprajnata Samadhi. asamprajnata samadhi. See, these are like that, different words are. The very brief, which is not possible actually. For a person sitting in front of you, cannot explain it at all. In a very short way, for the inquisitive mind of some sadhakas, because the question again will come in their mind. What are these two? The word used, savikalpa, nirvikalpa. How to explain the taste of honey to a person who has never tasted the honey? That is a paradox here. So, savikalpa, see, one comparison can be given. You have to understand yourself. See, before we enter into deep sleep on the bed, when you go to the bed, say whatever time you have, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock night, whatever it is, when you go to the bed, immediately you don't fall asleep, deep sleep. So there is some time. Gradually, a time will come, you will enter into a sleepy mode called dozing. English word, dozing. Dozing means earlier you are conscious, you are aware of your body, you are on the bed, you'll be hearing all the sounds around you in the room, bedroom, from the window, outside sounds, whatever it is. Gradually, when you come to dozing level, it is like, half conscious, half alert condition. The outer sounds, they are there, but you don't listen at all. You don't hear at all. So it is a semi-conscious condition. You are half alert and half unconscious type, dozing. So that period, still in the deep in your mind, you are aware that you are on the bed. You are deep in the mind, you are aware that you are sleeping on the cot. So your ego is still in the awareness mode in that dozing period. But when you go into deep sleep, you don't know when. You'll fall into deep sleep. Nothing is known. Nothing is known. Your ego subsides. Totally, you are not aware of anything. You are not aware of your body or mind or ego consciousness. So, savikalpa samadhi can be compared to the short period of dozing before the actual deep sleep sets in. ಗಾಢ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬರುವ ಮೊದಲು ಕೆಲವು ಕ್ಷಣಗಳು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಮಂಪರು ಕವಿದಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ನಿದ್ದೆಯ ಮಂಪರು, ಅದನ್ನು ಸವಿಕಲ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಇದೆ, ನಾನು ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ. ಗಾಢ ನಿದ್ದೆಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನು ನಿರ್ವಿಕಲ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬಹುದು ಆ ಅವಸ್ಥೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದ ಡೀಪ್ ಸ್ಲೀಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕಂಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಟು ನಿರ್ವಿಕಲ್ಪ. ಸೊ ದಿ ಈಗೋ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದೇರ್, your mind is not there, your buddhi, everything is absorbed into your own self or atma. So you are totally a big zero, nobody. What is that state? You can't explain what is happening in your deep sleep, correct? There is nobody at all to explain. Total absence of any feeling, absence of any perception. No mind, no your intellect, no body consciousness. Nothing is there. Your identity is totally merged, lost temporarily, of course. You don't know. There is neither sorrow nor enjoyment. Nothing. You are totally disconnected. The world disappears. The entire world disappears. Your relations, everything disappears. You also, your status disappears. So that is something like nirvikalpa samadhi. I have tried my level best as a dust particle to explain what cannot be explained. So Acharya in these two shlokas has made it so clear that ultimately by Guru Upadesha, having conviction, Shraddha and faith in the Guru Upadesha, following his advice, doing the sadhana as he directs, Shravana, listening properly, Manana, reflecting, Vichara, inquiry, constant, Dhyana, constantly, Chiram Nitya Nirantaram, constant Dhyana. That will lead to Nirvikalpa Samadhi state. And in that Nirvikalpa Samadhi state, the Sakshatkara may appear or happen anytime by the grace of Guru, by the grace of the Lord. Ultimately, it happens. At one particular beautiful moment, when it happens, nobody knows. Nobody. So, with Guru Sankalpa, today's discourse is being stopped here with a short Rama Bhajan. Sri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama 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 Hari Om Om Namo Bhagavate Virajesh.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Sir, truly amazing. This is akin to the ice cream truck coming. You know, especially in the US, we have the ice cream trucks coming every now and then for the children. So we eagerly await for the truck to come. And we don't know when the truck is leaving already. It's already time for the truck to leave. That is the sadness that I can relate to. And
no, that is exactly the feeling even sometimes I have, because when I listen, when the discourse is going on, Kailash ji, I will not be knowing what is coming out. But when I sit and listen by your grace, you are putting in YouTube, then I will also feel the same way as you are talking now today.
All His grace, sir.
My God, what a valuable advice this YouTube is giving on Viveka Chudamani for a person like me.
Sir, there are two questions, sir. One is from Subramaniam Jiddu ji. Thanks for introducing brief meditation methods last week. Our Guruji seems to recommend japa over meditation, but not sure about the reasoning. As you are Antevasi, close disciple of our Gurudeva, wanted to know if you have any insight on this.
The question has come from our Guru Bandhu, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have made one point very clear, if I remember correctly. That explanation came for the people absolutely who don't have a guru, first of all. That explanation is meant for very, very common people who are interested. My own one or two relatives asked me that. They are normal people, absolutely normal people. They are absolutely not spiritually related. They don't have any guru. They don't know. They have not read anything. They don't know Vedanta. They have not read any books on Vedanta. They don't know. So, they ask the question. You speak of meditation, all japa, all these things. Japa we understand. One mantra is there. It can be repeated with a rosary, with japama. But the word meditation, how it should be done, at least, they wanted to know it. So for them it was told. not for Guru Bandhus, because those who are already, they are already in the school, high school, whatever level. This is meant for people who have not yet entered kindergarten, Montessori, lower, pre-primary school. So that was meant for them actually. Simple way of meditation. There nothing else was introduced. Just 5 minutes a day. Can you not spare and sit? Don't do anything. Sit and simply close your eyes. So the two methods were just given out offhanded. It is only for them, not for Guru. Because at higher level, as it is very evident, once you cross over primary education, you go to the next higher education, those books are not required to study again because you have already finished that. From high school, when you go to the college level education, as our Jagat Guru Bharatitirtha Mahaswami in recent Anugrah Bhashana, again he mentioned the same point. Again he mentioned the same point.
Yes.
So when you cross over to the college level education, books of the high school level not required for you, but they are required for others who have not yet entered high school. Like that. So I think I have made myself clear to our group. What japa is equally important. Yajnanam japa yajnosmi. Our Gurudev was very fond of that phrase. He always valued the same thing. You start with the japa, he used to say. Meditation is very difficult for you. Allah. Start with japa. Because his famous statement, we all remember our Gurudev's statement. If you don't know anything, don't bother, do japa, that's all. That's all. That's all. It is the surest, safest, fastest, easiest way to reach God. That's a famous quotation of our Gurudev. Printed in the minds of all Guru Bandhus, I am sure. He said, japa is the safest, surest, easiest, fastest way to reach God in this birth. What else is required, sir?
Amazing, sir. Thank you. Sir, two mundane questions. One is you often use the word mukti and moksha. So what is the difference between the two for the mundane viewers?
Moksha and the first word was?
Mukti.
Mukti. Yeah. So, yeah. See, some doubts are there like that in some people because some books published in English and vernacular languages, they have used in some ways as if they are two different words, with slight different meanings, with such thoughts they have used. So by listening to, reading such books, these questions always there. It has come. I have heard about that, doubt about the word mukti and moksha. If you go to Vedanta proper, Upanishads proper, see in Sanskritam language, Kailashji, like our English Oxford dictionary is there, Webster dictionary is there, standard dictionaries are there. In Sanskritam, the famous dictionary on the Vedantic words is Amarakosha. In Sanskritam language, the most authoritative dictionary on the Vedantic words is Amarakosha. So in Amarakosha is very clear, and all Mahatmans have made it very clear, that there is no difference, verbatim difference between the two words, mukti and moksha. Both are same at the highest level. Both are same, equanimous. No difference. No difference. But some of late spiritual persons, they have made some distinction. Like, I'll give one example. According to some, of late means in the last, say 20, 30 years. I don't exactly know the year. Some have made a slight difference. According to them, mukti word refers to this particular birth time, lifespan of the body. It has a particular lifespan, ayushya. When it is over, the body will fall. body will die. So the span between the birth and death of this particular birth. So when it dies, it is referred as mukti as far as the physical body is concerned. So they use the word mukti there. To differentiate this, they use the word moksha. Moksha means there is no rebirth. He will not come back. The one who has left the body will not come back again. So moksha, so in that way they may show the slight difference between mukti refers to the physical aspect of life and death phenomenon, referring to the anatma, referring to the body. Here the body also means linga sharira, subtle body also. And moksha means no return at all. So that part. In that way they will differentiate. So I think I have made myself little bit whatever I know.
Thank you, sir.
I can share whatever I know. That's all through the Guru's grace.
Thank you, sir. Sir, another question Subramaniam Jidduji asks, Viveka Chudamani by Sri Chandrasekhar Bharati Mahaswamigal is written in what language, sir? Is it in Sanskrit or Kannada?
Pure Sanskritam. Pure Sanskritam. The first English translation by Bharati Vidya Bhavan Publications, Bombay, they, with the permission of the Sringeri Jagadguru Sri Chandrasekhar Bharati Tirtha Mahaswamigal, Abhinav Vidya Tirtha Mahaswamigal at that time, took the permission from the Sringeri Peetham and got it translated into English first time in 1978. I am showing you with an English translation of Sri Sanskrit commentary of Sri Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal, Viveka Chudamani. I think, is it visible? Visible? Yeah. So this is Bharati Vidya Bhavan translation. This by P. Shankara Narayanan. I gave you wrongly the date, not 73, 1973, not 78, sir. 1973, Mylapore, Madras, publication. '73, first publication edition. Second publication, Bangalore, 1978. For this 1973 publication, I am showing here, this is the original Sanskritam Srimukha. Sanskritam Srimukha means introduction to the book by Sri Mahasanidhana Abhinav Vidya Tirtha Mahaswamigal. Signature is here. So this book is, for the translation, Jagadguru gave the full permission. This is the authentic, only English translation approved by Sringeri Sharada Peetham. First edition 1973, second edition 1978. So original is purely in Sanskrit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for clarifying all the questions.
Yeah, thank you. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Yeah, sir.
Hari Om.